I used to live paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed about money and unsure how people ever managed to build real wealth. I was making decent money, but it always felt like it disappeared as soon as it hit my account. Rent, bills, food, a few treats here and there, and somehow, I was back to zero before the month ended. Then one day, I came across a simple rule that completely changed my financial life. Not some complicated investment scheme, not a get-rich-quick trick, but a straightforward system called the 50-30-20 rule. It seemed too basic to be powerful, but trust me, underestimating its impact would have been my biggest mistake. The 50-30-20 rule divides your after-tax income into 3 buckets: 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings and debt repayment. It's not a strict law, but a flexible guideline that brings structure and clarity to your spending habits. When I first applied it, I realized just how chaotic my finances had been. My needs category, things like rent, groceries, utilities, insurance, was eating up more than 70% of my income. My wants, like eating out, shopping, and subscriptions, another 20%, and savings, basically non-existent. It hit me hard. I wasn't just undisciplined, I was blind to my own spending patterns. This rule gave me a clear picture and, more importantly, a plan. I started by adjusting my lifestyle to bring my needs down to 50%. That meant moving into a smaller apartment, cooking more at home, canceling unused subscriptions, and negotiating better deals on bills. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I began treating my money with intention, and for the first time I was in control. The next shift was even more powerful, understanding the real meaning of the wants category. Wants aren't bad. In fact, treating yourself can be part of a healthy financial plan, but when they consume your income, they become chains. So I gave myself a budgeted 30%, guilt-free, for the things I enjoyed. Suddenly, I wasn't feeling deprived, I was feeling empowered. The magic happened in the 20% I reserved for savings and debt repayment. This was the fuel that turned my financial life around. I used this portion to pay off high-interest credit card debt, starting with the smallest balance to gain momentum, known as the snowball method. Every time I cleared a card, I felt a surge of accomplishment. Once the debt was gone, I started saving aggressively, building an emergency fund first, then investing. I opened a high-yield savings account, a Roth IRA, and eventually started putting money into index funds and ETFs. Thanks to the consistency that this rule taught me, I watched my net worth slowly start to grow. It wasn't fast. There were no overnight miracles, but it was steady, and more importantly, sustainable. I learned that managing money is less about how much you make and more about how you manage what you keep. This rule rewired my mindset. I stopped seeing money as something to be spent and started seeing it as a tool to build freedom. I no longer feared emergencies. They became inconveniences, not catastrophes. I no longer needed to say yes to every paycheck. I could choose clients, jobs, and opportunities based on alignment with my values, not just financial necessity. The 50-30-20 rule isn't perfect. Life changes. Sometimes I save more than 20%. Sometimes unexpected expenses push me beyond my 50%. But it gives me a baseline to return to. It's a compass, not a cage. It helped me automate my savings, organize my spending, and prioritize what really matters. But beyond the numbers, this rule forced me to confront something deeper, my relationship with money. I used to think budgeting meant restriction, like being on a diet. But I learned it's actually the opposite. Budgeting is freedom. It's telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It's aligning your spending with your values. It's building a future instead of borrowing from it. Today, I still follow the 50-30-20 rule, but with a twist. As my income increased, I kept my lifestyle mostly the same. That means now I'm able to save and invest well over 20% of what I earn. This gap, the difference between what I make and what I spend, is the foundation of true wealth. Not just money in the bank, but peace of mind, options, and freedom. And it all started with a rule I almost ignored because it sounded too simple: So if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure where to begin, start with this. Track your spending. Apply the 50-30-20 rule. Adjust as needed. Build awareness. Make it a habit. And most importantly, be patient. Change won't happen overnight, but every step you take brings you closer to financial independence. This rule didn't just change how I budget, it changed how I think, how I live, and what's possible for my future. That's the power of simplicity when it's backed by intention and consistency. The 50-30-20 rule gave me a roadmap, but it also gave me something even more valuable. Confidence. Confidence that I'm in control. Confidence that I can weather any storm. And confidence that financial freedom isn't a myth, it's a method. And it starts with one simple rule that changed everything for me. And it can change everything for you too.